Monitoring Kilauea. Embassy move. I'm Richard Johnson. What's it like being up close and personal with a Kilauea volcano? Demian Barros is one of several so-called lava chasers who are dangerously close to the action.
The volcano is extremely immense and powerful, and obviously these islands have been created by that force. And to stand there and to feel it and to listen to it and to feel the reverberations in your chest and to be able to look at it and smell it and even taste it, it's a very, very humbling experience.
Scientists are bracing for a huge eruption of Kilauea, saying all the elements are in place for an explosive event. Lots of ceremony, lots of security in Israel for tomorrow's official opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. The Trump administration's done what many past presidents refused to do in moving the embassy from Tel Aviv. Palestinian protesters are hoping that as many as 100,000 people gather at designated spots in Gaza on Monday. Palestinians claim Jerusalem as their capital. Will the Trump-Kim summit really happen? So far, the signs are positive. Correspondent Boris Sanchez has more on what President Trump's been doing and the advice he's been getting.
President Trump had taken time speaking to a number of his advisors and foreign leaders as well, including China's President Xi Jinping. The president clearly trying to gain some perspective on Kim Jong-un from Xi Jinping, someone who has met with the North Korean leader numerous times in the lead up to this summit.
The president tweeted his concern for jobs in China. He's ordering the Commerce Department to do what it can to help the Chinese phone company ZTE, the fourth largest maker of smartphones here in the U.S. Last month, the U.S. banned American firms from selling parts to ZTE for 7 years. But in a tweet today, President Trump says he is working to give ZTE a way to get back into business fast. No comment yet from the Commerce Department. I'm Richard Johnson.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Chuck, I was at one of your locations the other day, and they were busy.
You said it. Business is booming right now, and we're really growing in Nevada. In fact, we could really use some superstars to join our team just to help keep up with the demand.
So you're hiring?
Yes, we are.
What's it like to work for DLC?
We've been around for 20 years, and we're just a cool company to work for. The starting pay is great. We have awesome benefits with health, dental, vision, and we have some great bonus opportunities. One of the best parts is we offer paid time off, and you don't have to work on Sundays. It's a fun rock and roll environment, and if you're bilingual, hey, that's a huge plus with Dollar Loan Center. You can swing by any of our locations and pick up an app, or make it easy. Just jump on your computer, go to don'tbebroke.com/jobs, and you can apply right now.
Thanks, Chuck. Dollar Loan Center is ready to interview you right now and is paid training ready to start immediately. Great jobs, great pay, awesome benefits. Apply online today at don'tbebroke.com/jobs.
Dollar Loan Center is an equal opportunity employer. Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Strategies and Solutions with Johnny Dean.
Online payday lenders can be attractive alternatives to walking up to a check cashing store on the corner, but watch out. Consumer advocates and government officials are warning those who borrow from internet lenders that they have more to worry about than sometimes outrageous interest rates. Customers many times are asked to submit to the financial equivalent of a strip search. Personal data like Social Security and driver's license numbers, mother's maiden name, job information, and checking account and bank routing numbers often are requested by the lenders. And more than likely, the borrowers will not have a clue as to whom they're giving this information. Many online payday lenders are run from outside the United States and may be out of reach of U.S. law. So if they dip into your account illegally, there may be little you can do to stop them. The long-term solution, of course, is to get a good spending plan and build a nest egg of savings. Meanwhile, be careful about giving personal data online.
Securities offered through Lucia Securities, LLC, member SIPC, and a subsidiary of Lucia Capital Group, a registered investment advisor. All investments are subject to risk, including loss of principal. John Dean is an affiliated person of Lucia Securities.
After all the sleep you cost your mom through the years, it's time to give it all back. I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch. This Mother's Day, give your mom the gift she deserves. Great sleep on Boll & Branch sheets. Our sheets are handcrafted from 100% organic cotton. They get softer over time. We guarantee she'll love them. She can try them risk-free for 30 nights. Now through Mother's Day, get $50 off your first set plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com. Promo code SLEEP. That's bollandbranch.com. Promo code SLEEP.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Is credit card debt ruining your life? Now you can have a large portion of your credit card debt forgiven. Get Relief Today wants to give you free information that shows you how. This program is proven to work for credit card debt, medical bills, and department store debt. We'll give you the secret to this money-saving program absolutely free. 800-207-8558. That's 800-207-8558. That's 800-207-8558.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. It is the Vegas Take, new home right here on 720 KDWN. So glad to be with you. I am Brian Shapiro. Sharp and Shapiro, my co-host JD Sharp here, and we are going to have a lot of fun for you. The first of many shows here at KDWN. You know, I started here at KDWN with our producer Denise about 10 years ago. I think I had hair back then, and it is so great to be back on. She's saying I didn't, maybe I didn't, I don't know, but it's so good to be back here, and what a beautiful studio, and what a great place to be. And just happy to be a part of this. And it's going to be many, many shows, this being the first. And we're going to have a lot of fun. It's no different if you've listened to the Vegas Take before. We are going to have some of the best entertainers, celebrities on, talk about the biggest sports stories of the week, and, of course, take your calls as well. And this show being no different. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to be speaking to a man by the name of Christian Pina, who is a Golden Knights fan and one of, I would say, maybe a few hundred people that actually have placed a bet on the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup. He's got a ticket at 100-1. So we're going to talk to him about that in just a few minutes. And I did mention we do have entertainers on the show, right? Yes, we do. Well, if you remember MTV, okay, this guy's an MTV icon. I think it's fair to say. Tom Green will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. It's his first show at Harrah's tonight, and he's going to be joining us live at 6:30. So we're going to talk a lot about his new show on the Strip and many other things as well. What has he been up to lately? So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I did mention my co-host sitting across from me. That is Mr. J.D. Sharp, who I actually met at the poker tables last year. And anyone who knows me at the poker tables, I could be an obnoxious prick at the poker table. But for whatever reason, J.D. decided to talk to me, which I appreciate. And the reason why I started talking to JD is he'd mentioned to me that he's a professional sports handicapper, has been one for a very, very long time. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, geez, another sports handicapper. And then he said he was monitored by some websites. So I looked him up. I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. Then he started giving me some picks, and he started making me some money. And I'm like, this guy's really good. And then here we are. JD, thanks for joining me on the show, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Shapiro?
I am doing okay. And, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this new venture that you're in as well. But before we get to that, how long, just to give people get people a little bit familiar with you, how long have you been a professional sports handicapper?
I've been a sports handicapper for 6 years.
6 years. What got you? What did you decide to do this for a living?
I followed sports my entire life, and I'm from Omaha, Nebraska originally, and where it's illegal to bet sports. And so I would follow sports, and I would make the picks that I liked, and I would put them on Twitter, and people would start asking me. I think I won 13 of 15 within my first 2 or 3 weeks, and people started asking me, what my price was for my package. And I'm like, that's a really good question because I really have no idea. And so it kind of started a brand new business by doing that.
That's really cool. And you mentioned you're from Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, I grew up in Connecticut, right, where obviously sports betting is still illegal. There's a couple Indian casinos out there. I would have loved to have the opportunity to be able to, bet legally. But now there is a way. There is a way, and it's you're actually the owner of a company called the Wager Fund, where people in all parts of the country can actually bet with you. Now, explain to me how this company works.
Okay, so 2 years ago, Nevada passed a law called Law 443, and it allows you to create an LLC for entity wagering. Basically, I can create an LLC, and I can raise money from inside the state, outside the state, or outside the country. Then I can bet that here in Vegas on sports like a hedge fund. And
so it
that's
works like a stock.
Fund. Absolutely.
That is so cool. So you could be on another part of the country, say Connecticut, where I'm from, or Omaha, and knowing what you're betting on with my money across the country, to me, and it's legal. That's the great thing. You don't have to deal with a bookie or, worry about getting one of your legs broken or anything like that, right? You could just work with you. It's a legit company. It's legal. And that's so awesome. And you could see your money, whether you're up or down. You can see where you're at, which I think is so cool. That's
Absolutely.
so awesome.
It's 100% transparent, and it's 100% legal.
Well, I'm glad you're joining us because I'm going to have plenty of questions for you as far as the sports gambling world, because I know you're a really knowledgeable guy. This is a show where we're obviously going to talk gambling, sports, the biggest sports stories of the week. And like I said, we're going to have entertainers on. We're just going to have a good time, man. That's what we're going to do here. And I'm really excited. I'm glad you're here. Glad you could be a part of this. And a big part of what's going on in Vegas right now, from a gambling perspective, just from the tragedy that took place October 1st, the Las Vegas Golden Knights have really brought this community together. And I've been going to every game pretty much since day one. The crowds have been unbelievable. I mean, how could you not root for this team? It's incredible what they've done. And I think we're watching a 30 for 30 in the making. So what do you make of this? The fact that they were, in some books, 500 to 1. Then it went down to 400 to 1, 300 to 1, 200 to 1. What do you make of this situation now that they're in the Western Conference Finals? Game 2, by the way, tomorrow. The Western Conference Finals, JD, there's 4 teams left.
Well, there's a reason that line went from 500 to 1 all the way down to, I believe it is 8 to 1 right now. I mean, Vegas.
It's lower than that now because there's only 4 teams left. Yeah.
Vegas saw something. They saw that the team was very, very good. And I'm just shocked at living here in Vegas as far as how much the city has really, accepted hockey in a desert. That's surrounded by a desert. Hockey is the sport here. I think that's unbelievable, and it's a really testament to kind of what the Knights have been able to do, here in Las Vegas.
People always ask me on a daily basis. People that are friends of mine all over the country, they say, "How are the Knights doing this, man? How the heck are they doing this?" And I usually give them one answer. It's a big answer, but I try to make it as basic as possible. I say, "Look, you have a coach that was fired in Gallant who should not have been fired. Okay, so he's got a chip on his shoulder." Every player, for the most part, at least at the beginning of the year, on this team was let go or was not re-signed with this team. They were a free agent, and Vegas picked them up. And, geez, have they done a phenomenal job getting the right guys, a mixture of young talent and veteran leadership. And so all these players are playing with a chip on their shoulder, too. They're playing against their former teams. That's why I was kind of hoping that the Nashville team would be playing them right now because, of course, James Neal, one of the star players on the Knights, played on that team last year. But, all these guys playing with a chip on their shoulder. You have a Hall of Fame goaltender in Marc-Andre Fleury. He's arguably playing the best hockey of his career. And then you've got some of these stars, young up, Marchessault, and then you have Carlson. All these guys playing together. The chemistry is there. And I said this a month ago. I said, look, if they lose to the Kings in the first round, it's still phenomenal what they were able to do. You mentioned they were 7 or 8 to 1 just to make the playoffs. I spoke to a guy at William Hill, a guy running the William Hill Sportsbook, who told me he had a guy just cash in $40,000 on a ticket. He bet I don't know, 7 or 8 grand on them to make the playoffs, which is unbelievable. And obviously they did halfway through the season. You pretty much knew that it was a lock that they were going to make the playoffs. So it's incredible. And I tell people this, yes, this is a 30 for 30. If they win the Stanley Cup, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, JD, if they win the Stanley Cup, I think you can make the argument this is one of the best sports stories in the history of sports.
I think that could be a legitimate argument. It's almost like The Replacements, that movie with Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Back in the day, it has that Replacements type of vibe as far as what's happening here. And yeah, a city surrounded by a desert brings hockey in, and they win the Stanley Cup in their inauguration year. I mean, that is a massive, massive story, and that has not taken place before. So I tend to agree with you there.
They're playing a tough team right now, and the Winnipeg Jets play their style. Only I think the Jets are maybe even a little better, a little faster. Game 2 is a crucial game tomorrow. I don't want to say that it's a must-win, but when you're down 1-0 in the series and you don't have home ice advantage, the first 2 games of that series, you want to split, right, JD? I mean, you want to go 1-1. And
absolutely.
You don't want to be down 2 games heading home. If you head home 1-1, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. But I think tomorrow obviously it's the biggest game of the year for the Knights. It's a crucial game. I don't want to say must win, but it's almost at that point. It's a crucial game for the Knights tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a matter of the Jets have much more experience than they do in a playoff situation.
For the most part, they do.
Jets,
Fleury does. Fleury's been there, and you got a couple other, but you're right. As a whole, a lot of these Knights players have not been in a situation like this.
And these Jets, they're aggressive. They score a lot of goals. They're big and they're fast. So I totally agree. I would say tomorrow is a very, very important game for the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
And I believe the game time tomorrow is at 5 o'clock, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Look, I hope they get the win, obviously. You want 1-1 coming back to Vegas, but the good news is even if they lose tomorrow, we still got a couple more home games. The season isn't over yet.
Absolutely.
You know, it's unreal that the season isn't over yet. It's absolutely incredible. And again, the game time tomorrow, 5 o'clock. If you're wondering from a gambling perspective what that line is, the Knights are about plus 120. So speaking of gambling, JD, I wanted to get one of these guys on the air that placed a bet on the Vegas Golden Knights to win it all at the beginning of the year. So I found this guy on social media, and he sent me his ticket, so I know he is legit. His name is Christian Pina, and he joins us right now live on the KDWN hotline. Christian, thanks for coming on, my man. How you doing?
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So let me get into your mind here for a second. So you're beginning of the year, before you place this bet, what is your mindset before you place this bet? Tell us why you placed the bet, where you placed it.
So I'm actually a professional gamer that works out of Las Vegas, obviously, and I had made the change. At the time I was moving out to Vegas to gamble full time, and it just kind of correlated that the Vegas Knights were coming here as kind of the first professional team that was available to wager on in Las Vegas. So it seemed this kind of like a no-brainer kind of thing to do. I mean, in all honesty, I bought the ticket just as more of something to put in my home office, as kind of, to frame it as kind of the first time that a team that was in Las Vegas was available to bet on. And it kind of, at that time, again, it was 100 to 1 when I bought the ticket, which was the first day that they were available to place a future on for hockey. I bought it at the Westgate, and it's so funny. I wish I could sit here and tell you I had $1,000. So $100 every like that. I really wanted it as just a keepsake to frame my office as the first team in Las Vegas.
Right.
So I went up there and I was literally like, I was like, can I get a $1 ticket? She was like, I'm sorry, but the minimum is $5. She said that. That's what I ended up with, is $500.
Right. So basically, you're buying this ticket. I hate to use the term souvenir, but you're assuming there's no way this is going to win. I'm doing it as a souvenir just for fun. Is that a fair, accurate assumption?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really all it was a keepsake. I mean, traditionally expansion teams, and no matter what sport it are very, very bad, for lack of a better term, for a very long time. I mean, the Cats and the Jaguars, and the NFL, Carolina, I mean, those teams took years and years and years to kind of get their footing in their league. And I mean, in all honesty, I figured this would be the same exact thing for the NHL. And I mean, they just never stopped. And I mean, they're throughout their odds throughout the season. It's so funny because a lot of people kind of had the same idea. I don't know if a lot of people got 100 to 1 that I got, but like the liability of Las Vegas casinos that have, that offered Las Vegas. I mean, the odds were so skewed, and
you're right.
When one casino would need, would have a significant liability to them. But yeah, it was completely a souvenir ticket, and it just kind of worked out to this point.
You use Christian. You use a very interesting term, liability. Let me give you a stat here. So the Vegas sports books, and give or take a few bucks here, but the Vegas sports books have lost anywhere between $5 to $6 million just on regular season tickets. Okay, most sports book directors tell me that an average fan who bets on the Vegas Knights is 15 times more likely to bet on a Knights game than any other team, which is an astronomical figure. And if the Knights do win the Stanley Cup, the liability for many of these books, they're going to be losing a lot of money. They're going to get absolutely destroyed. Now, I'm not going to say your $5 bet to win $500 is going to destroy the books, but there are many other people out there like you who have those bets. Now, let me ask you another question. I know you didn't make a big bet. I know you wish you did. I wish I did. But $5 to win $500. Look, $500 is $500, okay? Is there any hedging going on? Did you bet on the Winnipeg Jets, just a sprinkle a little bit of money, so maybe you have a little bit of dinner money or something?
No, you know what? Again, with it being such a low investment of $5, I just let it ride. I mean, again, it's the story to me is so, win or lose with that ticket. The story to me of at this point, I believe they're like, maybe 2 to 3 to 1 to win the cup, and to start with 100 to 1. I mean, I'm going to let that ride throughout the whole thing, just because it was such, a $5 investment. To me, the story is worth so much more than what that would pay out either way. So for a couple $100 to hedge it out, so I'm just going to let it ride.
I would do the same thing. Here's another thing too. A lot of these sportsbook directors, one of them, good guy, Jake Cornegay, he, sportsbook director over at the Westgate, he said something really funny. He said, well, I'm rooting for the Knights to lose in Game 7, otherwise I'm going to have to show my resume. Come on. Let's be honest here. Nobody's going to lose their job. I think he said that as a joke. I like Jay. Nobody's going to lose their job. The books will be just fine. They destroy it every year. Nobody feels bad for, the man, the Vegas sportsbook. So I obviously hope that you win your bet. I hope the Knights win. I think it'll be one. I can't even imagine. What was the last time Vegas had a parade was when the UNLV won the national championship for a sports team, right? Can you imagine, Christian, how crazy it'll be if that does happen and Vegas wins the Stanley Cup? Because I don't even know what to say, what that's going to be like.
Exactly, and it's funny. Like back then, there was all gaming commissions and stuff wouldn't really allow tickets to be printed on Nevada sports, especially college ones, because they were so afraid of game fixing and everything else. And I mean, you look at the Knights as a whole for what they've done for the city. I mean, especially after the tragic shooting and everything like that. I mean, it's crazy to think that it took this long to get a team into Vegas, and I mean, the same thing will probably happen with the Raiders. I mean, imagine the parade route of shutting down the strip, similar to a New Year's style type of thing, and what that would do for the city and everything like that. It's absolutely,
I agree.
It's
a incredible
scenario that would just be incredible for the city.
Well, Christian, I'm going to already say it. Congratulations on your $5 investment to win 500. You can't really say that very often. Listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that story. It's awesome. I know there are other stories out there like yours, and I think it's great, my man. I think it's great that you support the team. I think it's awesome that you got a ticket there. Don't do me a favor, though. Promise me if they do not win the Stanley Cup, I hope they do, but if they don't, keep the ticket anyway as a souvenir.
Oh, of course. I mean, again, when you take 100-to-1 long shot, it was only meant to never be taken out of that frame, but it's getting a second look now. But no matter what, that's going to be on the mantle for a very long time.
No doubt about it. Hey, Christian, I appreciate your time, my man. Good luck with that ticket, and thanks for coming on.
Enjoy the memento, Christian.
Guys.
Thank you, Christian. All right, that's Christian Pina, who has a $5 ticket to win 500 on the Vegas Golden. I thought that'd be kind of cool. I mean, it will be an incredible story if they do it. But like I said, JD, even if they don't, the fact that they've made it this far, it's a 30 for 30 in the making. And I feel very privileged to have been able to watch this happen.
And it's basically created a fan base here in Las Vegas for 5 to 10 years, no matter what takes place, which is just huge for the market itself.
It's the Vegas Take right here on 720 KDWN. I will open up the phone lines quickly here. If you do want to comment on the Vegas Golden Knights, I will gladly take your calls. Maybe you have a ticket. Tell me what you think is going to happen. The number to call, the live line right now, 702, obviously the area code, 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. Tell me your thoughts on the Vegas Knights. What do you think about this team, what they've been able to accomplish, and maybe it's not over yet. I'm a little worried about the game tomorrow night, JD. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope that the Knights bring it. The one thing I will say about Game 1 the other day was that the Knights came out flat. They're down 3-0. But they did play even hockey the next two periods. You just got to come out with a little bit more firepower, and that's obviously what they have to do. Again, the number to call if you want to join us, 257-5396. I think the way that the Vegas Golden Knights have brought the community together, they've just done everything the right way. From the first game, JD, and I'll give you a quick story. I was on October 1st, the Vegas Golden Knights had a preseason game, okay? I was asked to go to this Route 96 festival by a few people. And I chose not to go because I wanted to go to the Knights game. I went with a friend of mine. We saw the preseason game. That game started, I think it was like a weird starting time. It was like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I'm driving home from the hockey game, and they won. And I'm feeling pretty good. I get home, and all of a sudden I put on the news, and it's all over the place. This horrible shooting that happened across from Mandalay Bay that took so many innocent lives, just horribly tragic. So this is personal to me. I chose to go to this hockey game. Who knows what would have happened if I went to that concert? And again, I was asked to go by a few people. One of them, who I know personally, was shot. She's alive. She was shot.
Thank God.
Yeah, so it's just this is personal to me, and I know there are a lot of stories like that are personal to everybody. There were 16,000 people probably at that preseason game that maybe could have gone,
right?
To that festival. But I just think the way the Knights have, like I said, brought the community together, and it just. What they did in that first game was emotional. I mean, there were a lot of teary eyes. So it's crazy. And Denise, our producer, telling us that next season is sold out. That is true, Denise. And that's not a surprise. I'm not surprised. Is anybody surprised that next season tickets are sold out? I'm not surprised with the season that they have. Here's the true test, though, I would say, JD. When and if the Knights have a bad year, and what I mean by bad year is, let's just say they go 500. Let's just assume that they go 500. They're winning half their games. Will all those seats still be filled? I hope they are. I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think that the hockey games are so fun. It's not just the fact that they're good, but the games are fun. People have a really good time. Like I haven't been to one myself, but a lot of people that have gone to the games have told me it's just a different experience. I think that experience will kind of be commonplace, and whether they win or not, they're going to be fans. Like I said, I think 5 to 10 years, as long as they're reasonably decent, that fan base should stick with the Knights. I think they're here to stay.
I agree with you, and I think we got this ball rolling when the NBA All-Star Weekend was here. Our former mayor, who I love, who we'll definitely have on this show, Oscar Goodman, he got the NBA All-Star Weekend here, which I think was the start. Now, that didn't go great. Okay, there was a lot of crime in the city that weekend, and we're at the Thomas and Mack Center, which I think was built in the 1600s. But so that weekend wasn't great, but it got the ball rolling. It got the discussion started, I should say, and then we get this hockey franchise, and I always thought we'd get an NBA team first, but we get the hockey franchise. Then, I still think, pinch me, we're getting the NFL in Vegas. The Raiders are coming to town. I think it's just a matter of time before we get the NBA, and I would put the over-under on the NBA about 5 years.
I think MLB and NBA within 7 years. And absolutely NBA within 5 years.
I think we get the NBA first. I wouldn't be surprised if Major League Baseball came soon after. I wouldn't be surprised with anything in this town right now. I can't believe I thought the NFL would be the last thing that came here, but they've kind of embraced gambling a little bit, and look what we got.
Here's the real question. When do we get the Super Bowl?
Well, the answer is the stadium we have.
Right.
Hey, we're going to get WrestleMania here, right? We're definitely going to get the Super Bowl. It's incredible. Obviously they already started building this state-of-the-art facility. We already have the T-Mobile Arena. We wouldn't have concerts like U2, which was the other night, if not for the T-Mobile. But this new state-of-the-art facility, how many people are going to be able to hold in there? We can have any event, okay? And let's be honest, we're talking about Las Vegas. People want to come here, okay? Everyone wants to come here for the most part. So we're going to have those huge events. Is it going to? People talk about the economy with this new stadium being built. Look, I think the Raiders should have put up more money. I've been very vocal about that. But the Raiders aren't going to make Las Vegas money necessarily. It is the stadium that is going to make Las Vegas money. It is all the other events that is going to make Las Vegas money. So tell me the negative here. There's nothing but positives, in my opinion, with this stadium, and it's an investment for the city.
I agree 100%. I don't see any negatives at all. It's a great thing across the board. Fan base is massive. It's national. It's international. I just hope that the city is ready for what is going to happen on those weekends on Sundays when the Raiders are here for a home game. It's already pandemonium. It's going to be insanity when that takes place, and I hope the city's ready for it.
And I love these little notes that our producer keeps showing me. Denise is awesome. And let me remind you all listening, guess where the home is for Raiders football? Right here on KDWN, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I wish you guys had the rights to the hockey team, but I guess you can't have everything in life, right? You can't have everything in life. But hey, the Raiders are here, so which is really awesome. So yeah, I think the stadium is a great investment. What the Vegas Knights have done over the course, since the season started, is monumental. I think that's a word I would use. I hope they win tomorrow night. I'm a little worried about that game, but I can't recall ever being in an arena that was louder. And I've been everywhere. I've been to the old Boston Garden. Okay, I've been everywhere. I've grown up back east. JD, it is so loud in that building that the fan support for this team is incredible. And I think fans, some of them maybe are new to hockey. I think a lot of them are new to hockey. Here's my thing, though. I think at least half the fans that are going to these games truly maybe don't appreciate, or maybe they're a little spoiled. I don't even think they can comprehend exactly what this team has done. I think maybe they take it for granted, and that's not a knock to Vegas Knights fans. I'm just being honest with you, okay? I was a Hartford Whalers season ticket holder 20 years ago, 25 years ago, okay? They never even made the damn playoffs, okay? This team is in the Western Conference Finals. It's so sick. It's unbelievable. And fans are just showing up. I think some of them certainly do appreciate it, and I think other fans maybe are like, wow, is this what we're going to get every year? This is awesome. The Knights are going to contend for the Stanley Cup every year. This just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It's crazy what we're witnessing right now. You know, it's really unbelievable. But we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, and I told you that on the Vegas Take we're going to get some awesome entertainers, some of the best. And this is a guy that I grew up watching on MTV, and his show opens tonight at Harrah's. So we're going to be joined coming up next segment by Tom Green. We all remember his days, right? The Tom Green Show. We remember all that stuff, and you know he's a funny guy, and he's performing tonight. Tonight's the first night, so we'll talk to Tom Green a little bit about that. You are listening to the Vegas Tape with Sharp and Shapiro right here on News Talk 720 KDWN.
It's Reese.
And Irvy.
From the franchise concept, Reese and Irvy's. By now, you've heard about our patented frozen yogurt vending robots that serve 7 flavors of delicious frozen yogurt with 6 amazing toppings in less than 60 seconds.
To date, we've sold over 200 franchises, 1,000 robots, and we're officially labeled as one of the hottest franchise opportunities of 2018.
With no employees, no rent, no brick-and-mortar shops, just fully automated robots that work for you and deliver instant customer satisfaction. Revenue for you, smiles for them.
We secure our franchisees' high foot traffic locations like cinemas, hotels, tourist attractions, colleges, and malls. From installation to instant sensation, we provide you all the tools for Froyo success.
No experience is necessary, and full and part-time franchise opportunities are available.
To find out if your territory is still available, go to froyofranchising.com to learn more, and be sure to enter promo code 1515. That's froyofranchising.com, promo code 1515.
Hey, if you are in the market to make the most money for your home, Sean Hannity here with some important advice. Now, look, I'm an active investor. I have bought and sold a lot of properties in hot, cold, moderate markets. And one of the lessons I have learned is this: hire the agent that knows how to create the most demand for your home. Now, if I needed to create demand and sell a home for the most money, I'm talking about Rick and Terry Brinkus of Keller Williams Realty, the marketplace. Now, Rick and Terry service the entire Las Vegas area. They attract hundreds of buyers every week. It makes them the #1 team in Vegas, according to the Wall Street Journal. Rick and Terry spend thousands of dollars every month. Now, Rick and Terry Brinkus have averaged over 250 sales per year, get this, for 20 straight years. Now, because of that, if they can't sell your home at a price and deadline that you agree to, they will buy your home. Real estate mogul and Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran recommends Rick and Terry Brinkus for Vegas. And if I lived in Vegas and needed to sell my home, no question, I'd be calling Rick and Terry right now. And you can call them at 702-456-5959. That's 456-5959, or just go online at thebrinkesteam.com. That's thebrinkesteam.com. And consider your home sold.
Strategies and Solutions with Johnny Dean.
Each year, the IRS sends out almost 100 million income tax refunds. Some people are so eager to get that money that they pay outlandish fees for tax refund loans just to get their hands on the cash a week or two sooner. That's interesting because with just a little effort, they could adjust their withholding and get next year's income tax refund now. You pay taxes on your earnings as you receive them throughout the year. Your employer estimates the taxes on your earnings each pay period, withholds the tax, and submits it to the IRS on a regular basis. If you have too much money taken out, you're giving Uncle Sam an interest-free loan for the rest of the year. But match your withholding to your tax liability, and you get the money now in the form of more take-home pay. If you got a refund of more than $500 last year, resolve to stop lending the government your hard-earned money. Go to your Human Resources Department and fill out a new W-4 form increasing the allowances you claim.
Securities offered through Lucia Securities LLC, member SIPC, and a subsidiary of Lucia Capital Group, a registered investment advisor. All investments are subject to risk, including loss of principal. John Dean is an affiliated person of Lucia Securities.
Listen to News Talk 720 KDWN wherever you have an Amazon Echo device. Simply enable the KDWN skill on your Amazon Alexa app. Then just say, Alexa, open KDWN.
Thank you for opening KDWN. You can choose Play Live Stream.
On the air, on the web, on the KDWN app, and now on your Amazon Echo. News Talk 720 KDWN is everywhere.
Thank you for listening to KDWN.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
Wherever you are, News Talk 720 KDWN is with you. Download the KDWN app from the App Store on iTunes or Google Play and take KDWN with you. All the news you need. Facebook and Twitter feeds all in one place. Plus KDWN streaming 24/7. News Talk 720 KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, News Talk 720 KDWN. So glad you can join us Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, I don't know, pick or choose. So much to talk about in the sports world, and we are awaiting a call from Mr. Tom Green. He'll be joining us shortly, but my host, J.D. Sharp, and, I grew up back east. I grew up a huge Boston Celtics fan. And what the Boston Celtics did today to LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, it was just so sweet to watch. I mean, I think LeBron had almost as many turnovers as he did points today. Here's something I don't understand that I want to ask you about. The coach of the year for the Toronto Raptors was fired a few days ago, okay? Explain to me, JD, how Brad Stevens, who I think you could easily make the argument is the coach of the year, doesn't get one vote.
I can't explain that. I mean, I think Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches in basketball, but I'm just as equally shocked that Dwayne Casey was fired the way that he was.
Yeah.
I mean, the Raptors had a very good season. LeBron made some really, really, really huge shots. Yeah. I mean, unheard of shots in those games to sweep them the way that they did. So I think I didn't think the Raptors were warranted in firing Casey. But yeah, Brad Stevens, I mean, he's
phenomenal.
He's been magical ever since. Back at Butler, didn't make a difference.
Phenomenal coach. But it's funny you mentioned the Toronto Raptors because the guy that got on the line right now, I believe he's a Toronto Raptors fan. Well, we'll ask him. I know he's an NHL fan because he's from Canada. And guess what? This guy's got a new show starting tonight on the Las Vegas Strip at Harrah's. He is an MTV icon. I think that's very fair to say that. And I love his movies, man. You got to remember his movies, JD. Road Trip, Freddie Got Fingered. Come on, the guy's awesome. And he joins us right now live on the KDWN hotline. None other than Tom Green himself. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hey, guys. So how are you?
I am doing fantastic. Hey, I wanted to first congratulate you on the new show. First show's tonight at Harrah's. Tell me about it, my man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're having a great time down here. I'm here Sundays and Mondays now in Harrah's, and we've got this amazing showroom here I'm performing in, and I'm having a blast, man. I've been touring around doing stand-up pretty much the last 10 years full time. That's what I've been doing. If you're wondering what I've been up to, that's what I've been doing. touring around doing stand up all over the world. I just did shows in Israel for the first time, all over the UK, all over the US and Canada, and but it's great being in Las Vegas, man, because I'm having a good time. Yeah.
And Tom, you've been all over Las Vegas too. I mean, I saw you when you had a residency at the Hard Rock. It was you and Andrew Dice Clay. In fact, the show I saw, you guys were on stage together at the same time. That was almost too much for me. It was unbelievable because I love both you guys. And then I saw you when you were on tour with Steve-O at the Old Riviera, another great show. And I recently saw you at Bally's. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was sitting front row, and you asked me during your show, which I love the way you interact with the people at your show, by the way. And you said, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, I do radio." And you said, "Oh, well, thanks a lot for having me on your show." And
I remember that. Thank you for having me on today. This is amazing.
You see, I'm a man of my word, Tom. No, but a lot of people, a lot of people that are do TV. Sometimes they find it hard to make a transition to being a stand-up comic, but you seem to find it seems to come naturally to you. I mean, is that a fair assumption? Because I think you do a great job.
Thank you. Well, the thing a lot of people don't know about me is I started doing stand-up before the Tom Green Show. So I started doing stand-up when I was a teenager in Canada, and I did stand-up at the comedy club, Yuck Yucks Comedy Club up there. And that sort of was what led me into wanting to do television. And when I did the Tom Green Show on MTV, I wasn't doing stand-up at the time, but it was always kind of in my sort of, heart. I wanted to get back and do it. And the last 10 years, I've really just sort of really been throwing myself into it full time and loving it. But, I grew up a huge fan of David Letterman and a lot of, I've always was a huge fan of stand-up. When I was a kid, I was a huge fan of some Canadian stand-ups like Norm Macdonald and Harland Williams, who were touring through the club that I was performing in. So it's always been a big part of my life. And just to be able to focus on it full time for the last 10 years has been amazing. And to do it in Vegas is even better because, I don't know if you remember at the show at Bally's when I was doing it at Bally's when you were there, but I've got an audience from all over the world coming to Vegas, you know, and MTV was all over the world, and, my movies like Road Trip and Freddie Got Fingered and Charlie's Angels, they were all over. So I've got different kinds of fans from all over the world, and they all kind of converge here in Las Vegas, and it's a really super fun way of, performing to people, from all over the place.
And what I love about I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I try to kind of work that into the show where I talk to people in the crowd and talk to people from Australia and Canada and England and all over the U.S. and all over Vegas. So it's super, super cool.
And that's what I was going to say, that part of your show is you're so good at interacting with the crowd, but you also take some clips from the Tom Green Show and you describe it to the audience a little bit. And somebody like me that grew up loving your show, I think it's awesome. If you're just joining us, we are speaking with Tom Green. His first show, first of many, at Harrah's tonight. He's there Sundays and Mondays. Now, before and we'll get back to the show, but bring me back a little bit, Tom. Okay. You come from a middle-class family, two hardworking parents in Canada, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're doing sort of like a public access show, and you get discovered by somebody over at MTV, and it seems like almost overnight you are an MTV sensation, you're an instant celebrity, your show, The Tom Green Show, was a huge hit right away. It's not even like it took time to get that audience. I mean, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, I studied television broadcasting in college in Canada. And when I was doing that, I started this show on public access TV up in my hometown of Ottawa, and we did the Tom Green Show up there. And we would do it every Thursday night. I did it for about 5 years, on this public access station, just volunteering and doing these videos. And I wanted to, this was before YouTube, right? This was back in 1994 through 99 up on the public access station. So I figured out how to edit videos. I made all these crazy kind of prank videos on the street that were a lot different than what was on television back at the time. And I did a show in Canada, which was sort of like the David Letterman show of Canada at the time. And it was, there was a manager there who represented Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel. His name's Howard Lapidus. And he saw my performance there, and he brought me into MTV. And MTV sort of watched some of my skits that I'd done, and they said, "Do you have any more of these?" Because I was doing crazy stuff back then before we were used to seeing that, painting pornography on the hood of my parents' car, and painting their house plaid and barging. And a lot of pranks on my parents, actually. People kind of related to that in a weird way. And, people hadn't, this was before Jackass and before Borat and before things like that, before YouTube, certainly. So MTV said, "Hey, do you got any more videos like this?" And because I've been doing the show for about 5 years, I happen to have about, like 1,000 videos that I had already made. And I was really kind of a real nerdy video geek kid, And
Sure.
So they took me to New York, and they just put me on the air, and we had all this sort of backlog of material, and it was just so weird and out of nowhere strange, I think, for the American MTV audience, that it just kind of hit people caught people off guard, I think,
Mm-hmm, sure. I wanted to ask you, how did you handle that when you're almost an instant celebrity overnight? I think you had mentioned back at that time, when you were married and when you're a celebrity and you're a very recognizable figure all over. And you had mentioned, you said, quote, it was a crazy whirlwind of a time. Does it bother you when idiots like me in the media ask you questions about your marriage and about your personal life? Is that uncomfortable for you still, or no?
No, not really. I mean, it was maybe a little bit when it was fresh, like 15 years ago when you just been divorced and it's emotional. But, I look back at it now and I just think it was kind of a surreal and kind of crazy thing. Like what happened was, my show, like you said, a lot of people were watching the show and they were kind of, thinking it was a pretty weird and crazy and funny show. And I ended up getting, I got to do some pretty cool things. I got to host Saturday Night Live. I was on Oprah. I was on Letterman. And then I got asked to be in the movie Road Trip, which did really well. And then, my ex-wife, Drew Barrymore, was producing the movie Charlie's Angels. I didn't know her yet. But
wow.
She asked me to be in the movie Charlie's Angels because she liked the show. And so I went and did the movie Charlie's Angels, and that's where I met Drew. And we, ended up dating for 2.5 years, and then got married, and then it didn't work out. But it was a lot of stuff happening at once. Not to mention, I also got, I got testicular cancer while I was on MTV, so I had to quit my show, and so the show kind of came, and then it sort of just disappeared. After about 2 years because I got sick, and so it was a lot of stuff happening at once. But it was I think about some of the things that I got to do in those few years, which were just literally like pinch me kind of moments. I got to guest host the David Letterman show.
Gosh, that's amazing, and he's like your idol, right?
My idol growing up, and just I remember the first time I met Dave on his show, I just really thought like I just kind of died and gone to heaven or something like that. This was just the most sort of surreal thing that I could have ever imagined happening. So it's been cool. I've had a lot of cool experiences. Years later, I was on The Celebrity Apprentice, so I know the President of the United States as well.
Oh, come on. You got to give me a little dirt on Donald Trump. Come on, Tom. Come on, Tom.
Well, he fired me because I went out drinking with Dennis Rodman on the night I was the project manager.
That'll happen.
So, and I have all these stories that I get to incorporate into my stand-up show. So, my stand-up's a mixture of, social commentary and talking about life and talking about relationships and talking about technology and how our world is weird and crazy with Facebook and Instagram and all of these things. But then it's also mixed in some stories about how I know the President of the United States. I know the President. The President knows me. Anyone who knows me should probably not be president. But let's not get political, though. I don't like to get political in my show because at the end of the day, I'm Canadian, and this is your problem, right?
That's true. That is so cool, though. That when was the last time you talked to him?
I think it was probably when we were doing the show. I got fired because I went out drinking with Dennis Rodman.
With Dennis Rodman, yeah.
And I wrote him a letter. I wrote the President of the United States a letter the next day on the Trump Tower stationery. And I wrote this letter, and I said, Mr. Trump, of course he wasn't the president at the time, but I said, Mr. Trump, I know you fired me because I went out drinking with Dennis Rodman, and I know that was probably not the most business-like decision to make, but I'm a comedian, and I thought it would be funny for the show, and I want your show to be successful, and that's why I did it. So I thank you very much, Mr. Trump, Tom Green, right? So the next day, the producers came to me and took me aside, and they said, Mr. Trump really, really liked your handwritten letter on the Trump Tower stationery, and they brought me back. They brought me back on the show, which is something that they don't usually do never have done to somebody who gets fired in the third episode. So
that is awesome. Cool. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Tom Green. Of course, he's been performed in Vegas for a long time, but he's got a new show right in the heart of the Strip, by the way. Great location at Harrah's. He's going to be there Sunday and Monday, which is awesome. So back to the days, Tom, TRL. I know we went back a little bit, but I want to go back there again. The Bum Bum song was what, #1 on TRL for 8 weeks or something?
No, it was only #1 for a week. Actually.
Oh, that's it. I thought it was longer than that. It was a popular song.
So they forced me to retire it, man. That's the thing. So it probably would have been #1 for 8 weeks, and I know it probably felt like 8 weeks because it's the Bum Bum song.
It's amazing.
But, yeah. So I wrote that song. I don't know how much you want to hear about the history of the Bum Bum song, but
hey,
basically,
I'm all ears.
I'm interested.
It was an improvised moment. We did a show called the Spring Break Special, where we were on a cruise ship in Mexico on spring break with MTV, and at 4:00 in the morning, I went down to the captain of the ship's quarters and knocked on his door. It was a Russian cruise ship. It was a really cheap kind of I think it was leaking, it was taking on water. And I knocked on the captain's door, and I tried to offer him a fish sandwich. We had this giant red snapper between two slices of bread, and he got mad. And he called security, and security was dragging me up the stairs. I would kind of stop and stick my bum on the stairs, and I'd say, "My bum is on the stairs." And it was just a sort of ridiculous, silly thing.
And that's how it started.
So then the next week we're in New York City after the show aired, and I'm walking down the street, and I can't go like the thing that I think we kind of even start to forget how much the world's changed. This was before the internet, before cell phones. Everybody watched MTV, and I couldn't walk 10 feet through Manhattan without somebody rolling their window down and yelling, "My bum is on the stairs." You know? So everyone was yelling, "My bum is on this, my bum is on that," and we couldn't believe it. Just really resonated with people. I think people just thought it was kind of a funny thing
that
to
is
remember
awesome.
thing.
I certainly remember it.
We went and recorded the song, and
boom.
We recorded the song in Seattle. It went to #1 on Seattle radio the day we recorded the song. So I happened to be at the station like this, and I just handed a CD to the DJ, and he played it, and it went. And then we went back to New York and played the video that we shot, and
I love it.
It went to #1 on Total Request Live. But MTV made me retire it because they weren't really expecting or planning to have this knock Britney Spears off the countdown.
Good.
Those are beautiful origins.
I'm in what's called the retirement home. So I have a plaque that says the Bum Bum
awesome.
song made the retirement home. So
I remember that song, and I still remember it now, and it was awesome. Let me ask you a little bit about MTV. I don't want you to bash your former employer, but I do think that, it's sad now. I don't know. You come from the same era I come from. They don't play music videos anymore. I don't even know what alternative rock is anymore. I used to love to watch 120 Minutes where, they played some of the great rock music that's coming out. Now it's all reality television, which I do not watch anymore. I think when Carson Daly took over, that's when NSYNC came out and Backstreet Boys, not my genre. I just feel like music, and this is just my opinion, I feel like music started to go downhill a little bit at that point. And I know you're a big music buff. So, what are your thoughts on music today and MTV today?
Well, I think that, as much as we'd like it to have MTV just playing music videos 24/7 like they used to back when we were growing up, the problem is it's just, the internet really changed everything. Remember, back when we were growing up, watching music videos was really cool. It was the only way you could really see your favorite band, and you had to wait till the show came on that played. If you like heavy metal music, you'd have to wait for the heavy metal show to come on to see your favorite band, and that was the only time you could see it. You couldn't go to YouTube and just watch it. So, so with YouTube and everything else now, and Instagram and all of these different outlets, people have such a direct connection with their favorite bands that they don't really need to go to MTV for music anymore. So I guess they're just a sort of a victim of changing times, and they had to adapt and try to do something. So I do honestly think, though, that it might be time for MTV to. I've often thought, I should go to MTV and ask them to hire me as their executive of programming, right?
That's not a bad idea.
And bring back the old MTV, because I think there's enough people like us now that really miss that maybe we would still go there to watch.
I would.
Old school music videos. I know they're bringing back, Yo MTV Raps, so. Maybe they're already thinking of that, and maybe this was nostalgia for other times, simpler times being what it is. Maybe that would be the move for MTV right now.
I think that's a great idea.
Start watching it again.
I would too. Yeah. No question. Let's bring back some of those old Tom Green shows too. Just to bump that in there as well. A couple more minutes, Tom, then we'll let you go. I know you got a show tonight at Harrah's, but the thing that gets me more than anything. Let me just start with this. You're from Canada. Can I assume that you're a hockey fan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What do you think about the Vegas Golden Knights?
I think it's amazing. I'm rooting for the Golden Knights right now. They are my team right now. Now, if Ottawa Senators was in, I would have to be supporting them until they were not in, because my team, I wouldn't be able to go home again. But right. Ottawa's not in the playoffs right now. I love hockey. I think it's so awesome for Las Vegas. I think it's so cool. That they're doing so well. I think they're going to go all the way. And
I hope so.
I grew up playing hockey. That's the thing. When you're Canadian, you grow up playing hockey outdoors on frozen outdoor rinks, and we'd go play till midnight every night on a school night, and our parents wouldn't mind because you were out playing hockey, and that was important, right? Yeah. But I think it's awesome.
You got to go to a game, Tom. You got to go to T-Mobile Arena. It's an awesome environment. I know you're pretty busy.
Yeah.
You got your tour, and you're all over the place.
Actually, I did get into a game once this year. Yeah, a couple months ago, and it was awesome. And I love what they're doing there. I think it's cool that they're doing things a little different. They have the fact that they have cheerleaders and a drum line is something I've never seen at a hockey game before. But it's working it's Vegas, right?
It's crazy.
Total Vegas.
You walk 100 feet outside the arena, you can place a bet on the game. Although in Canada, gambling is welcome, obviously.
That's true.
But it is pretty cool. Okay, last question for you, Tom. Talk to me about the show tonight. A loaded question here. Look, I've seen your show a bunch of times, and I think your stand-up is unbelievable. And anyone that's a fan of yours has to go. It's a must. Okay, I've seen it a bunch of times, like I said. But for somebody that has never seen Tom Green do stand-up before, people that are considering going to the show tonight at Harrah's, tell me what people should expect, why people should go to see Tom Green tonight do some stand-up at Harrah's.
Yeah, well, first of all, if you're a fan of my older stuff, like my show or some of my crazy movies, I definitely try to keep a lot of the absurdity and ridiculousness in the performance that you're hoping for and expecting. But I grew up a huge fan of stand-up. I love some of the the great stand-ups like George Carlin and Richard Pryor, of course, and Steve Martin. And I really have sort of always immersed myself in comedy. And there's just so much going on today in our society and our world. So it's such a crazy time that it really is a perfect time to be doing social commentary, really. I don't really, like I said, I don't get a lot into politics. I do talk a little bit about my experience on The Apprentice, but I don't talk about politics in a way that is divisive. I want everybody to have fun. Like I said, I'm Canadian. This is not my problem. But I do, of course, let my political, thoughts and feelings seep into it a little bit. But really, it's more about technology, our lives, how they're affected by it. I do bring in a little bit of video. There's a lot of random, absurd, observational humor in there as well. And now the thing that's cool, I'm actually at Harrah's right now. I just came from the showroom. We were doing a sound check, and what I'm going to start doing now that we're in this really great showroom, this incredible theater, which is much more has much more to it than the smaller room that I was in at Bally's, which was also fun. But this is a big room. We've got sound. We've got lighting. It's the same room that the Righteous Brothers perform in and that the Tenors of Rock perform in. So it's a music venue as well. It's primarily a music venue. And so I'm going to start incorporating some music into the show.
Oh, cool. Yeah, bring your guitar.
Yeah, I have my guitar.
Love it.
I'm going to play guitar tonight on the show. I'm going to play a little bit of music from the movie Road Trip. I might play the Tiny Salmon song. Everyone can sing it along with me.
Tiny Salmon.
And
that's
and then
awesome.
Also, I think I'm going to go out on a limb tonight, and I'm going to try to end the show. This is a little experimental, but I'm going to try to end the show with a classic Sammy Davis Jr. Vegas number.
Oh, I love it.
I Gotta Be Me.
That's
I'm
beautiful.
saying it right now. I'm going to try this tonight, which was in the Freddie Got Fingered soundtrack.
Do we get a sample right now, or no sample?
And, I'm going to have some fun with some music, and it's going to be pretty ridiculous. So.
Do we get a 10-second sample for the listeners, or no? Are you ready for that?
I gotta be me. Right, there you go.
I love it.
Wait. With
I love
reverb,
it.
It's amazing.
I love it. Oh, my God. Well, listen, Tom, first of all, I appreciate your time. I am so glad you have this new show at Harrah's. It's a great location, as you said. It's a great venue. You seem to have success with everything you do, and I'm so glad that you're doing this show at Harrah's, man. And I am absolutely going to check it out. And I appreciate your time, and I cannot wait to hear the reviews of the show. And I will be, as I said, I'm going to be checking it out myself, my man. And thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it, you having me on. And I just want to say, what I love about Vegas the most is there's just been such a warm reception from everybody in the Las Vegas community. It really is a pleasure to be performing here in this amazing city, and with all the incredible show business history here, I'm just kind of giddy to be performing here in a city where we had Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis and all these incredible people performing over the years. So it's awesome to be here, and I'm looking forward to having some fun tonight.
That's right. We love our Canadians. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for coming on, my man. I really appreciate it. And have fun tonight.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That is the MTV icon himself, Tom Green. JD, that was a lot of fun.
He did great. Actually, I saw him in Omaha at the Funny Bone 2 years ago, and he did this segment on where he was like stuck in a bush, and I laughed. I laughed. I swear to God,
he's great
for a minute straight. It was crazy. So he'll do very, very well here.
Well, JD, this was a fun first show, and we're going to be here for a long time, we hope. And every Sunday, folks. Every Sunday, we are going to be live, the Vegas Take, brought to you by the Wager Fund. We're going to get into that a little bit more next week. And got a couple pretty big guests lined up for you next week. We're hoping to get Bill Maher, who's going to be in town next weekend, also Bill Lane Beer. So follow us on Twitter at the Vegas Take for updates on what guest we have. And this is, like I said, this is a lot of fun, JD, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing this show every week at a great place, KDWN, our new home for the Vegas Take. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We really, really appreciate it. We will be back here live at 6 p.m. next week. Take care, everybody.
Your home for Raiders football. AM 720 KDWN Las Vegas. KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group's 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 Beasley Media